And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your boy Cheap Ludes, and I am back with another edition of the Squad Tips series I bestow upon you. So, if you are not aware of what the Squad Tips series is, maybe you're a first-time watcher, whatever, essentially you submit your guys' squads, and I try to help improve them in some way, shape, or form. Now, I will say right off the bat, before you even watch this video, like, if you're looking for me to take the team that you see on the screen in front of you here and just suggest like a bunch of overpowered, super overpriced cards that can improve the team, this is the wrong Squad Tip series for you. Yeah, obviously I could be like, go get point guard Ben Simmons instead of Chris Webber. That's not what the series is all about. It's all about rationally improving teams based on your MT amount while keeping MT intact. So, shout out to everybody who submitted their squad, because I appreciate everyone submits their squad. I appreciate. We're going to start out with my man Zero Clout squad. So, right now, solid squad. First off, you got my man Kyle Korver. Kyle Korver is he's gonna be featured in this list. I can tell you that, because Kyle Korver is easily one of the most slept on cards from the Warped Reality set, and no question, he is absolutely incredible. You got Kuzma, you got Jaren Jackson, you got Dirk. Starting lineup's fine. Now, here's where I would make some changes, though, right off the bat. Just looking at your bench unit, you do have Justice Winslow in there, who I do like Justice Winslow, and that actually provides you with like a secondary point guard option, which I actually like that, the small forward position. He has the height and the build necessary to essentially play the small forward at a pretty high level. Like, but just looking through like general collection and even like the Warped Reality set, like as a whole, there are some improvements that you could make, though I don't necessarily think they're really necessary. Like, you might like Kyle Kuzma. I prefer Rudy Gay. Either one of those two. They're both about equally as good as each other. It's just a personal preference thing. So one thing that I would say, it depends how you feel about Chris Webber. It looks like, let me check your MT amount here. You're doing okay. You just sold Brandon Ingram. I would keep Webber. But at the same time, if you wanted to make an upgrade on Webber, or at least sort of an upgrade, like Penny Hardaway is a good upgrade. Right off the bat, I would tell you to go play Triple Threat, which I know I've talked to you on stream yesterday, and I know you're grinding for him. But yeah, without saying much, like, huge upgrade would be Wilt Chamberlain. Now, a really quick upgrade you could do is switching these guys. Like, I personally think Jaren Jackson Jr. plays better as the center than Dirk does. Dirk plays better as power forward, if we're talking between those two. But I think one massive upgrade you can make is right here. Whether that be Karl Anthony Towns or Pau Gasol that you want to move on from, I think going and picking up Jokic while he's this cheap is incredibly smart for your team. It definitely balances out the squad. Jokic is a true center, man. He's definitely has some issues for sure. He's getting a little outdated. That's definitely not something I could really argue. But he plays extremely well at the center position. Now, like, obviously, I could tell you to go get Bol Bol. I mean, you have, like, what I think a couple 100K MT, which isn't great, but it's not terrible. I don't think it's worth picking him up, though. But I think one upgrade you could make is you could move on from Karl Anthony Towns. I think that's actually a pretty good card to move on from. And one way you could do that without breaking the bank, so to speak, would be to go grab, like, an Eddie Curry, or even like a Pink Diamond Magic. I think those guys are excellent pickups as well. Like, you could even go grab Rudy. Rudy's not a terrible idea. Now, if you were to go grab Rudy, you could play him at the power forward, or you can play Kuzma at the power forward. You could do something like this. Where you go pick up Rudy, run him at small, possibly play Kuzma here, and then you could get rid of Karl Anthony Towns and play Jaren Jackson. Like I said, not incredibly necessary, but it is a move that you could realistically make. I don't think any of the other guys from the set are really that necessary. Like, personally, I think Eddie Curry might actually be better than Pink Diamond Karl Anthony Towns. He can definitely ball handle. So one move you could make without shaking up the team too much is picking up Eddie Curry. He's not very expensive. You could probably get him for like 9K realistically. Maybe a little bit less. Maybe a little bit more. I think the max you're going to pay for him is like 12. And I think that would actually do a lot for your team. Obviously doing this switcheroo right here and playing Jaren Jackson at the center position. Now, this is all without getting Wilt. Like, Wilt is really expensive. I don't recommend going and buying him right now. But at the same time, if you were to go and get him from TT, obviously that would help a lot. Do you have Ron Harper? Like, Chris Webber and Halliburton are very, very good. But you could replace Chris Webber with a free Ron Harper who will give you the same amount of defense. Well, actually, much better defense, but will give you a little bit less offense, more defense. It just kind of depends what you need, but I don't think it's necessary. But it's not a terrible idea to, like, say, go grab Ron Harper and use him in certain situations. He drops, like, relatively easily through TTO. I've gotten, like, 5 of them, so. Let me know what you think. I hope that helped you out at least a little bit. Like I said, not a whole lot of moves to make on this team. Like, I know you like Andrew Wiggins, so I'm not even going to suggest getting rid of him. But I definitely suggest moving on from Wiggins at some point. Like, who you could move on from him with would be interesting. Another good option for power forward, if you want, just before I get out of here on your team, is Boris Diaw. Like, Boris Diaw is super cheap. He's not, like, the best card in the world anymore, but you can probably pick him up for around 15K, and he's definitely worth 15K. Like, no question. If you don't want to go Eddie Curry, Boris Diaw is also, like, a very usable option. And, well, he's probably better than Eddie Curry. They're different. They're too different for me to say one's better than the other, but another pretty solid option, so. Next up, let's switch over to our next squad. I wish I had the drum roll. I would use it. My man, Ryder. We got... Oh, you have JR? Okay. Okay. I don't really know how much I can really give you for JR. You have JR, Kyle Korver. Okay. Alright. You have Ferry. Alright. Alright. Fine. Mel Daniels. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's your bench. That's what I was gonna. And Kareem. Okay. So it depends how you feel about Kareem right off the bat, because I will make some adjustments. So Weber, Clyde Drexler. Okay. There's some upgrades to make here. Yeah. Weber, Clyde, OG Anunoby. Dude, I never know how to spell this guy's name. OG. There we go. I swear, that dude's last name is so hard for me to spell. Wes Unseld and Dirk. Okay. I mean, altogether, good squad. Like, overall, good squad. Like, I could tell you that changing Wilt for Abdul-Jabbar would be a good call, but, I mean, you'll make a little bit of MT on that transaction, and I think maybe that makes your team a little bit better. It really is depending on the person. If Kareem or Wilt is the better center option, it really kind of depends. You have a good amount of MT. You have like 1.2 million. You're fine. So it depends how you feel. You want a little extra boost without breaking the bank. You have everyone releases kind of timed. Yeah, I mean, OG would probably be... OG or Clyde would be a good upgrade. You could upgrade them relatively cheaply. If you were to just even look at the Warped Reality set. Or if you were to look at, like, glitched guys. But I think, like, without breaking the bank, I mean, you have Kyle Korver. He's a monster. Like, I love Kyle Korver. Kuzma actually wouldn't be terrible. It wouldn't really break the bank, him or Rudy. Let me see what Rudy is actually going for right now. Because, like, yesterday he was going for, like, 80. He's going for around 70. That kind of breaks the bank a little bit, but Rudy's not a bad option. Like, Rudy Gay's a good option. Penny Hardaway's a good option. I don't know. I haven't played with Caruso, so it's hard for me to really suggest Caruso at this point. But I think Kyle Kuzma would be a good option if you wanted to replace OG Anunoby. I would say that, obviously. If you wanted to move on from Chris Webber, like Ron Harper is a very good option if you can get him off TT offline. I just feel like Ron Harper gives you the same production as Chris Webber. Chris Webber's great. Do not get me wrong. I like him. I actually prefer Chris Webber as a small forward, though. Maybe I'm weird there, but that's how I kind of feel about him. As far as like a two guard that may be able to replace Clyde Drexler, there's not too many out there that are really going to be worthwhile as far as replacements go. Because Clyde's fine. Like, I could suggest Chris Mullin. It just depends. You like to kick out for threes a lot, so I mean that might actually be like a good call for you. It depends how you feel about Clyde Drexler. Like, realistically, like a good cheap option to replace Clyde Drexler would be like a Chris Mullin. Chris Mullin would be a good cheap option. Very similar to Kyle Korver. Like, very similar. That being said, is that like the wisest thing to do? I mean, Potentially. I can't really say for certain if it is or not. Wow, Giannis is back up in price. But at the same time, I mean, it's not a bad option to replace him with. I think that's probably one of the only ones I would say for sure. Like, yeah, obviously you could pick up DeMar DeRozan. His price is actually down a lot right now. I don't think it's, you know, you're trying to not break the bank, though. So it's tough to really suggest that. Yeah, I would say these three guys would be the upgrades that I would make for your team if you were to make upgrades, because they're either low cost in the case of like Kyle Kuzma and Chris Mullin. You know, you're going to get both of them around 50K, which is still a little bit, but I think to upgrade your team, that's about the amount you're going to be spending. Like, you're not really going to upgrade your team too much off spending not very much MT. Justice Winslow would be another option as well if you wanted to go that route. Justice Winslow, in my opinion, would probably give you around the same production level as OG Anunoby, but I haven't personally used Justice Winslow enough at the small forward position to really tell you if he works incredibly well there. So I would say if you wanted to move on there, I would go Kuzma, Mullins, or Ron Harper, and if you don't like any of those options, I would say just hold down the team for right now and wait for the new content we're going to get in like a week or so. That's probably the best way I could describe it. I mean, or Rudy Gay. Rudy Gay's sick. If you wanted to drop 70K, like, Rudy Gay's a monster. He's definitely better than OG Anunoby. And, yeah, he's not better than Danny Ferry, but, well, for me, he's better than Danny Ferry. Anyways, I hope that helped you out. I'm sorry, your team's pretty good, so it's hard to really give you too much tips. Your team's fire, and you got a lot of MT, so. Next up, we got my man Xavier Davis. Ooh, we got a Laker fan in the building. All right, I know you don't want to get rid of Magic. Like, all right, so we got like a relatively budget squad here. Drexler, Millsap. You have a grind heavy squad, which is fine. And Jaren Jackson. Okay. Yeah, you got 4 pretty solid reward guys. Bench, you're running quickly. Still really solid. Ray Allen, hero. I would tell you to get rid of him, but you say you knocked down a lot of shots with him, so that makes sense. Antoine Jameson. Oh, they're not spelled that right. Alright, I'm just going to go Jameson. Clearly, I'm not spelling his name wrong. Or I am spelling his name wrong. OG. Man, everybody got the glitch market except me, man. I swear. I still cannot get it to drop at all. OG and DeMarcus Sims. Okay. Good grind squad. Hita, you had 90K but bought Magic. You currently have 11K. You're willing to sell Magic. Playstyle is similar to yours. Get players open. Take good shots. Okay, Mike Malone. You green the most with Antoine Jameson, Paul Millsap, Clyde, and Allen. You green the most with, or least with Magic. Yep, Brandon Roy and DeMarcus. Okay. Right off the bat, you're at 11K. So, not too many things I would do to really change it with 11K. Besides, obviously, if you were to go play Triple Threat offline or Triple Threat online, try to earn guys like, obviously Wilt, but more likely guys like Dirk or Jokic would improve your team a lot if you can swing that. That would be something I would recommend. If you don't green very consistently with Brandon Roy, like a cheap option that you could potentially get for around that price, I would look at Kyle Korver. Kyle Korver's weird. I've seen him drop to like around 10, and I've seen him go back up to like 15, so it's really tough to say exactly where his price is going to lie. If you wanted to replace DeMarcus Cousins for under 10K with a guy that I think would work well for your play style, Eddie Curry, no question. Eddie Curry he's good enough to guard Opal centers. Like, he plays good defense. He's got range. He can handle the ball. He's an altogether very, very good free card. No question about it. But TT squad would be incredibly helpful. If you were to get Ron Harper, like, I think Ron Harper could help you out, but Magic, he's not really replacing Magic, if that makes sense. Like, Magic does one thing, and he does one thing really well, and that is run the floor, be big, he can hit the post moves. Like, he's kind of elite in that, and the only guys that are really close to him in that regard are like Ben Simmons and Luka. So I think it's not really worth getting Ron Harper in the mix there. He's a different style of point guard completely. He's not like Quickly, he's not like Magic Johnson. He's like a defensive playmaking point guard. So I don't know if that really helps, but playing TT for these two free guys would be a good idea. If you wanted to go under 10K and purchase a card that would immediately help your team, I think Eddie Curry is right there if you can get him for that price point. I've seen him go as low as like 7 or 8K over the past like 24 hours. So I'm not saying you can 100% right now go get him for under 11K, but I've been seeing him fluctuate. So something to keep note on. Same with Kyle Korver if you're not wet with Brandon Roy. Kyle Korver is an incredibly good card. Do you not like Obi Toppin? Because I think Obi Toppin might help your team out like quite a bit. Like, I mean, you're really green with Antoine Jameson, but Jameson is kind of getting outdated. I mean, Obi Toppin might be a really good option for your team, but I understand if you're not liking him as far as a card. I get that. Like, that's totally fine. If you wanted to replace Magic with somebody who does something a little better, but for much cheaper, like Justice Winslow's probably the cheapest possible Magic-ish kind of player, but I still think Magic does things that most point guards can't do, so I wouldn't suggest Justice Winslow because of that. But if you wanted a big body point guard that can kind of get big on people occasionally and play tough defense, like that's a good option. You can pick them up for really cheap, around 10K. And I don't know, Magic's just going for like so cheap that I don't really necessarily think it's worth selling him for what he does, you know. But I would go for these three guys. If you happen to get guys like Ron Harper, if you happen to head over to TTO and try to get some of those cards, like a Juan Carlos Navarro or like Rondo, or any of those guys, they would definitely help your team out as well. But I would look at Dirk, Jokic, and if you can't get those guys to drop from TT or you don't want to spend 20K on them, Eddie Curry. That would be my suggestion. Because other than that, your team's fine, and it'll work for the time being until we start getting some more reward cards and some more budget options, essentially, in the near future. So, but this team's fire, so I wouldn't even get rid of it. But yeah, definitely go play Triple Threat offline this weekend. You can definitely come up on somebody that'll improve your team a lot. All right, JR. You're running Kyrie. Okay. Kyrie's a good option as well. I don't really suggest him because he is getting a little outdated. It's not really his fault. He has 23 Hoff badges. He's still more than usable. But as a long-term solution, I don't know if he's really the best. You know, if that makes sense. Kawhi Leonard. Okay, you're running 2 rewards. George. Okay, Paul George, yeah. And Jaren Jackson Jr. All right, let's check the bench unit out, see what you got running down here. Oh, I see Gerald Wallace. You know I'm hyped. Wade. Not really too big on Wade. Clyde Drexler. Hey, you like Clyde, you like Clyde. Gerald Wallace, who I didn't spell right, so I was wondering why he didn't come up. Obi and Moses. Okay. Solid enough squad. It's definitely not bad at all. Looks like you have Moses badged up a little bit. You play the game mostly for fun. You're not like a comp level player. That's cool. I'm glad you said that. Looking for any fun cards that you may recommend, especially like a new backup point guard and center, because Moses, yeah, okay, is a bit boring to you. That's fine. Other than this, I'm open to any suggestions. Okay. Let's see. Right off the bat, you got a pretty good amount. I think you got like a couple 100K MT, so nothing crazy. Right up, I mean, your starting lineup doesn't really need any work necessarily. Like, if you wanted to make some moves there, like, in my opinion, Penny Hardaway is a fun card to use, because he is. He's a big point guard, he attacks the rim, he can shoot really well. He's basically a point guard, Brandon Ingram. So he's technically a fun card to use, in my opinion. If you're not a big Drexler fan, you don't have him listed on the cards you green the most with, then I might even grab Kyle Korver. Like, it sounds weird, but Kyle Korver is a fun card to use because he's just stupid, man. He's so good. I can't believe people are not talking about this card more. He's so incredibly good. Kyle Korver, the one problem with Kyle Korver always in 2K is that he's never a complete card, right? He's got a lights out catch and shoot jump shot. Like, they just turned Kyle Korver into better Klay Thompson. That's all they did. So, and he dribbles hard, dude. He's got like nice dribble moves too, man. I don't know. I just feel like it's a crime that people aren't talking about this card. But yeah, I mean, like, Penny is objectively like a fun card. Kyle Korver is objectively a fun card. Dirk is objectively a fun card. Like, I haven't heard anybody say that he is not a fun card to use. Dirk and Jokic would be good options, especially if you're trying to replace Moses Malone specifically. Like, Dirk and Jokic are actually fun cards to use. Those would be 2 guys I would look at. Like, even Wilt, I don't think is a fun card to use. He's a traditionally good card. But, like, as far as having fun with Wilt, he's got kind of a hard-to-time jump shot. he just doesn't scream fun. Like, Dirk's fun. You can hit fadeaway jumpers with Dirk. He's like a fun card to use. He dunks really hard. He's Dirk, and he's dribbling up the court and dunking. Like, what's not fun about that? So I might go that route. I mean, you could replace Gerald Wallace with, like, Kyle Korver. Like, Gerald Wallace has better defensive animations, but Kyle Korver's better at everything else. So, I mean, that might be a move for you. Paul George, like, do you find Paul George is a fun card? Because he's kind of a stale card to me, but some people love Paul George. It just kind of depends on the person. And if that was the case, if you wanted to move on from Paul George, you can get the same amount of MT for Paul George, and you could replace him with Rudy Gay or Kyle Kuzma, who I think are better cards than he is at this point. So maybe that's actually an upgrade to do. I would say probably, I think Rudy's more of a fun card to use. But like I said, that could be personal preference. People might really like using Kuzma. I just think Rudy's more fun because he dunks really hard. He like dunks harder and has better dunk animations, so I think he's a more fun card to use. As far as backup point guard for Dwayne Wade, yeah, you can always move Kyrie down if you wanted to go grab Penny Hardaway. You could grab Justice Winslow too. Like, objectively, this guy isn't necessarily a good card, but he's usually a fun card to use, and that's Alex Caruso. He's usually like a fun card to use. He's like a bald white guy that dunks, he shoots threes, he has great dunking animations. I can't promise you he's going to be a great card, because I haven't used him yet. Though I have used, obviously, Alex Caruso cards this year, and he's an objectively fun card to use. That, if you want to get cheesy with it, Chris Webber's a pretty fun card to use as well, so it just depends on what players do you think are fun. Like, I can give you some suggestions, but it's really tough for me to definitively tell you, especially because you're just playing the game as like a pure enjoyment standpoint. So I'm trying to give you like cards that are enjoyable to use. Penny Hardaway is enjoyable to use. He is. Juan Carlos Navarro. If you like Dwayne Wade, Juan Carlos Navarro is objectively fun to use, like he is, as well. And he's going to cost you like 20k. But yeah, Dirk, Jokic, I would just get rid of Moses for sure and just grab Dirk. He's like 20k and he's fun to use for sure. And then if you wanted to go more fun side, like you want to replace Gerald Wallace, you could go Kyle Korver. Not really break the bank on that one, just pick up a new guy. You could even run him in the starting lineup and throw Kawhi on the bench if you wanted to. And then, yeah, you could obviously take Dwayne Wade out, grab Penny, grab Juan Carlos Navarro, like any of those guys would make this team infinitely more fun to use. And then you'd have a lineup that looks something like this. And I think, like, well, no, I mean, you want to move Kyrie to the bench and then run Penny up here. Because Kyrie's still usable. If you wanted to replace him too, you could actually sell Kyrie and get like a Justice Winslow or something. And I think they're comparable as far as like what they would be able to do to your team. But, I mean, like I said, it's all personal preference. I can only suggest some players for you, so I hope this helped out at all. Doing a for fun one is cool. I like doing a for fun suggestions list because I don't have to think about meta or like what's going to help you out or anything. I can just think of cards that I enjoy using, and hopefully you might too. So thank you for submitting a for fun squad. I like that a lot, so I appreciate you, JR. All right, next up and final, we got my man Quacker. Okay, right off the bat, you're using Kirk Heinrich. I appreciate that. When you use Captain Kirk, that's sick. Mo Pete. Okay, you have a fun squad. Boris Diaw. You have an interesting squad. You have the Bosley God himself, Danny Ferry. Okay. And you have Jaren Jackson Jr. All right. What's your bench looking like? Katino Mobley. Okay, that is not a card I expected to see. Bradley Beal. Okay. Hakeem Warwick's still good. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. LaMelo and Art Gilmore. Okay. You prefer Mobley and Heinrich to Halliburton. You just don't gel well with Halliburton. Yeah, it's fine. Look, even if a card's good, some people are not going to like using it. Like, I'm not the best with Halliburton. His jump shot's not really my favorite. I recognize he's a good card, but I'm personally not incredibly good with him. You also tried out Chris Mullen, Billy Owens for shooting guard. Didn't really like either of them. 3 Hunt and go to the post with my center. Used Hawks 2018 rim run. Frank Vogel. You're on current gen. You have around 100k to spend. Okay, cool. You definitely need to upgrade Art Gilmore. I can tell you that right off the bat. Like, that's definitely needed. And in order to do so, if you didn't want to break the bank, I mean, right off the bat, better than Art Gilmore would be, I know I've said him a bunch of times, my man Eddie Curry. Or, obviously, Dirk and Jokic. Or, even that, if you don't want any of those guys, Arvydas Sabonis is really good. Like, he is actually good. He's a little sluggish, but he's so big that 80 speed doesn't make a huge difference. He moves pretty well. So it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for like another ball handler that also can like bang inside and shoot threes, like Eddie Curry. If you're looking for just a mammoth mountain of a man, Arvydas Sabonis would be your way to go. If you're looking for more of a finesse god type guy, Dirk, and like a shooter. And if you're looking for like a pretty well-rounded guy who does a little bit of everything, I would say Jokic. Eddie Curry is also very well-rounded as well, just to put that out there. Dirk and Jokic are going to cost you around like 20 to 30K at the most. Arvydas is going to cost you around 30K. Eddie Curry will cost you around 10. So it just kind of depends. But I would say let's just go with Eddie Curry for now, because he's the most well-rounded out of all of those cards that I just named. The other three have like certain things they do really well. I think Eddie Curry does everything okay. He doesn't really do anything really that great, but he does everything like okay. If that makes sense. He shoots pretty well. He rebounds pretty well. He handles the ball pretty well. I would say he handles the ball about as well as the other guys, realistically. A little better than Sabonis. He's got pretty decent speed. He's just very well-rounded, so I'm going to keep him in there for now. But like I said, I told you about the other guys. You can make that decision on your own. I'm not going to suggest one of those four guys. Just keep those four guys in mind. Other than that, if you like Coutinho and Kirk Heinrich, I don't. It's like, if you don't like Halliburton, you could try Justice Winslow, but I'm not certain that you're going to like him, though I would probably use him over Coutinho Mobley. But it really depends on how you feel. If you want to go try out Justice Winslow, he's pretty cheap. I would try him out for a little bit, see what's up, and go from there. Mo Peterson's good, but Kyle Korver's just a better version of him. That's my one thing I got to say about that. Like, Kyle Korver is just a better version. I know on paper, if you look and you see a starting lineup with Kirk Heinrich and Kyle Korver, like, that's scary, because you're like, there's no athleticism here. And then Danny Ferry's in the mix too. Like, on paper, this starting five is like terribly unathletic, to the point where like any NBA team that put out the starting lineup in real life will get murdered. Like, no question. But this is 2K, and this starting lineup will get buckets in 2K. Kyle Korver is more athletic than a majority of the NBA is in real life in this game with this card. It's crazy. Not even kidding. Hakeem Warwick's great. I'm sure you use LaMelo Ball as like a primary or secondary ball handler, and that's why he's there, so I'm not going to tell you not to use him. If you like him, I would run him. And if you don't, you know, it is what it is. But I would check out, you tried Chris Mullin out. You have Diaw, so I don't really think any of the mystery guys make a lot of sense. I think it might make sense to grab, obviously, some of the Juan Carlos Navarro, dude. If you want to go that route, he's good. He just plays no defense. That's the one thing I will say about that. If you wanted to replace Coutinho Mobley, like, play TT and get Ron Harper. That's a good free option. And even if he's not your long-term plan, like Ron Harper or Andre Miller, I'm not saying they're better than Coutinho Mobley, but they might fit your playstyle a little better. That makes sense. You might even like either of them better. Like, both of them are very good. Andre Miller, am I going to say he's like a top-tier free point guard even? No. But like, if you grab him or Ron Harper to just hold it down for a couple weeks till like a point guard comes out that you really want, you can do way worse than these guys. Like, I'm not kidding. And you don't have to spend any MT to get him. Especially Andre Miller. You can just go get him. Or you can run Justice Winslow if you want to try out the new guys. That's totally chill as well. Or you, honestly, you could try Caruso. Like, I haven't used Caruso that much. I've been using him in 2K for the last couple years, though. And he's relatively solid. And his price is very low. So there's like a very low risk to trying out Caruso. He's got good badges. He's got a pretty okay jump shot. He's 6'5" at the point guard. He plays defense. He dunks real hard. He's not the best shooter, but he still has Hall of Fame range. So, and you can get him for like 9K. If you want to try him out and just use him as a budget option, that's cool. I recommend keeping Kirk Heinrich, just because I like Kirk Heinrich and he fits your playstyle very well. But taking a flyer on one of these 4 point guards would not be a terrible idea. Now, like I said, if you use LaMelo as like a secondary ball handler, as kind of your secondary point, or even your primary point guard, and use your other point guard as more of a catch and shoot man, then I don't think it's really that good of an idea I don't think that's a bad idea to get LaMelo. I just don't think there's a point to go spending MT to get replace LaMelo. That being said, obviously, like, Dirk's out there, Jokic is out there. Those are guys that you could even use at the power forward position. I wish LaMelo could play small forward because then he'd be really, really good for you. I don't necessarily think it's really that worth it, but if you wanted to replace Hakeem Warwick, you could obviously drop Boris D out of the bench unit and go pick up like a Kuzma or a Rudy Gay because they are really top tier cards and their price doesn't reflect that at all. Yeah, it doesn't. Like, I was going to say, no, it doesn't. Their price does not reflect how good they actually are. Like, they're incredible cards, and they should not be as low as they are. They're only low because they're the easiest ones to draw out of the packs. Honestly, Rondo is so cheap, too, that you could justify go grabbing Rondo for the bench, too. He even plays kind of like a Tino Mobley and is a lockdown defender. Like, as a fifth point guard option to throw in the mix there, that's definitely something you can do. But yeah, Kyle Kuzma is the much cheaper option, so he's the one I would recommend over Rudy Gay. And I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. Like, I love Rudy Gay. I know a lot of people do not like him very much, so it really just depends how you feel about the Rudy Gay base, which I think the last card we had that had it was Dissinger. I think Dissinger was the last Rudy Gay base card that we had. So if you use Dissinger and you like Dissinger a lot, you'll love Rudy Gay. But, like I said, I'm not going to try to alter your team too much, but those are some suggestions, so... Anyways, guys, thanks for watching the Squad Tip series. I will be back tomorrow with some more content. I think I'm going to stream tomorrow as well, so if you guys are interested in that, comment down below. Also, I meant to actually mention it at the beginning of the video, but I did not. I started my second channel today, which I will have down in the description of all my upcoming videos. I am actually going to be uploading like other video game content on there that has nothing to do with 2K. Maybe I'll do like a 2K video Maybe I'll do a 2K video over there, maybe like more of an opinion piece or something instead of like gameplay and the traditional tips that I do over here. Maybe I'll do something else over there. I don't know, dude. I'm not trying to have it be like, if you subscribe to this channel, you have to subscribe to the other one. I'm just trying to make content for other games when 2K has off days, and I don't want to do it on my main channel, so I'm just going to make a second one. If you guys want to subscribe to it, that'd be cool. I'll have the link down the bottom. If not, whatever, dude. You're under no like expectation to subscribe to the other channel, though I would appreciate it if you did, so it's whatever. Check the description for all my stuff. Like I said, second channel will be in there, and I'll be back with new content later, so hopefully this helped you guys out a little bit, or at least it was somewhat entertaining. Squad Tip series I'm always like nervous about. I don't know why. I don't trust my own judgment sometimes, maybe. I'm not sure, but hey, have a good night. Happy Saturday, man.